it's Carrie and myself, Taylor. We're here for an upper body throwdown. Super excited about the workout today. We're combining some heavier weighted movements with some cardio, and there's a lot of variation to each of these movements, so you can kind of work with what you have. I've got some modifications in there for people as well. So what you do need, if you have them, are a set of heavier weights and a set of lighter weights. If you only have like a mid-range, like 15s, something like that, that's completely fine. Grab some weights. There are definitely exercises in here where if you have a band and not weight, you can definitely switch it up. So I will try to be conscious of telling you guys that as we go. Okay, so let's get started. So we're starting with a push-up to knee drive. Remember that knee drives are not exactly like mountain climbers. You want them to be slow and precise, like really driving that knee in that full range of motion to opposite elbow. So you're coming down for a push-up and knee strike, down for a push-up. So squeezing that belly button into spine, really slowing down the movement, but with a lot of force to that strike. After that, we're gonna move to high pulls. For high pulls, if you have a plate, like a plate for a barbell, it's actually what I prefer. A plate for a barbell, if not, that's totally fine. You could do single-sided movements if you want heavier weight. You could do mid-range weights if you're gonna do both at the same time, but just a slight bend in the knees, a slight bend forward, and then leading with the elbows to pull up. Find that little movement, that rhythm, and do not lock out your knees. Make sure belly button is also engaged, or core is engaged, squeezing the belly button to spine, and driving with the elbows back. Then we're gonna move on to weighted burpees. I have a modification for this too, because we give you guys a lot of burpees. So here's a couple.
We like burpees.
Yeah, we love burpees, they're so good. Okay, so the weighted burpee, if you'd like to do it, have two dumbbells in your hands. You're gonna come down, pop out. If you wanna add the push-up, you can. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Then you're gonna jump back, make sure your weight is in your heels, and then clean the weight up and thrust it all the way up in the air, take it back down. If you're like, you need a break from the burpee, I totally get it. You can go to a single-sided movement, and I actually really love this, and we don't do it much. So you're gonna start in a lunge position with that back knee down, supported by the core. Front knee is at a nice 90. You're gonna clean it up and then press. So up, clean it up, press. You could also do it a bit slower and just hammer curl it up and then press up, and that's totally fine. I really like this movement, and you could try to test it with a bit heavier weight if you'd like as well, but it engages the full body, which we love. Oh yeah, I just realized that. What am I missing? I don't know what I'm missing. Set up to push up, whatever burpees, tricep extension, preacher curls. Did I not add? Okay, then next, sorry, I switched the boards up. Then next we're gonna do preacher curls. That's gonna be the next one. Coming down, pushing that elbow into the inner thigh. So you're not having it on top of the thigh, and you're not having it way down low. You want it right in there to really isolate that bicep. And you're just gonna give me bicep curls at a slight angle, making sure that that elbow stays into the knee at all times, and then also up by the knee. So if you drive it too far into your hips, now you're letting your shoulders do a lot of the work. So you want that elbow to be in your inner thigh, but keeping it up at the top of the leg at the knee is where you want to keep that elbow the whole time.
Like a big muscle right here?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that it's in the inner thigh, but if you start driving your elbow in all the way to your hip, then it's gonna let your shoulder start to assist in the movement, and we're trying to isolate the bicep. So you want it to be all the way up by the knee to really only engage the bicep to make it much harder than if it was to be further in towards your hips. So for that one, since we're doing throwdown style, so 3 rounds, we're just gonna switch out halfway on the last round. Y'all know. And then after that, we're gonna do tricep extensions. Now, if you wanna work on single-sided movements, which I absolutely love, then you're more than welcome to do just 1 at a time. You can do 2 at a time, it doesn't really matter. But you're going to make sure that that back stays as flat as you can. Knees are soft and bent, and then elbows start at a 90-degree angle. They extend out, and 90, out and 90. A lot of people like to swing this movement and bring the dumbbells towards the shoulders. That we want to avoid because we're not doing hammer curls. Also, we move all of the arm instead of just this tiny bit of the forearm. You really, really want to keep everything as static as you can and go from that 90 to extension. So really small muscle groups are only engaged with really, really small ranges of motion. So we're trying to keep it really, really nice and tight in there. Once we finish with that, we're gonna go to L raises. So grabbing 2 dumbbells, you're not gonna want them that heavy because we don't wanna lock out our knees or strain our back. So you're gonna take 1 out in front and 1 out laterally, then come down and switch. Come down and switch. So you're making a big L with your body. Lateral to front, right to left, right to left. Once we're done with that, we're gonna move on to either jack presses or push presses. So if you have light enough weights, like maybe 5 to 7, max 10 pounds, you can do the jack presses, which I really love. You just gotta make sure you're keeping a really nice rhythm as you do it. And sometimes if the weight's too heavy, it's gonna crack down on your shoulders, and we don't want that. So if you don't have a weight that works for that movement, just change it up to a push press. So just take out the jumping and really focus on the press. After that, we're gonna go to man makers. This is my all-time favorite exercise. It's 8 steps in 1. And it's gonna hurt, which is great.
Not today, but tomorrow.
Yeah. So for this one, you're gonna come down, you need 2 dumbbells. You're gonna come down to the floor. You're gonna give me a row to the right, back down. You're gonna take a push-up. Then you're gonna row to the left, and then take another push-up. And then you're gonna jump up and press the weight up. Yeah, and that is 1 rep. So if it's uncomfortable for you to take that weight up or your shoulders are already burned out, feel free to just do row, push up, and just alternate back and forth on the rows and push-ups. That's completely fine, and you're still gonna get a really good workout out of that exercise. So.
And after you do your row, if you need to do your push-ups on your knees, you can do that. You just do your rows first.
Yep.
Drop to your knees, do your push-up.
Yep. On the knee.
Row. Yeah, show
row,
the side.
push-up, row,
yeah.
push-up. You
can
do
even
it all.
go up to your toes on the row if you need to, and then down to your knees on the push-up. You just got to be nice and smooth about it.
We're looking for quality, right? So
Yep.
if your quality goes down, don't stop, just modify it so that the quality stays there. Okay, then we have a 3-point curl. So you're going to do a traditional, coming up to the shoulders, back down, then hammer, palms face each other, and then palms face away. Yeah, there we go. So just back and forth on those 3 movements, really hitting every part of the bicep, which is super nice. Make sure knees stay soft and that your pelvis doesn't go forward or back. That's really common in bicep movements. So just making sure that that pelvis stays at a neutral position and you keep your shoulders rolled back. After that, we're gonna go on to our last 3 of the day, which is going to be started with a sit-up to a push-up. Now, this one is actually easiest when you have heavier weights. So the heavier the weight, the more help with the momentum rolling to your push-up. So lighter weight's gonna be more difficult. So you're gonna start on your back and you're going to kick your feet or your knees towards your hips. I never had to explain this. Towards your hips, like roll forward. Make sure you don't cross your feet. That's super,
I'll be
super
back in
important.
just a second. Somebody's here, so you can keep on.
And then pop the legs out. Give me a push-up. Hop the feet back in between those dumbbells, roll forward, do a sit-up, and then pop. So you kind of got to get a flow down here. And if you try that and it's kind of struggling with it and you are afraid you might hurt yourself or you don't have the right weight for it, that's totally okay. What I prefer you did is just to do a tricep push-up. So W push-up, palms in a little bit closer together. Do a push-up for a whole round. Do sit-ups weighted with the dumbbells at your shoulders for a whole round. So just at your shoulders at a 45-degree angle. Do sit-ups and then switch it at 20-20 on the last one. If you're uncomfortable with that pop-up sit-up to push-up motion, that's completely fine. That modification works great. Next, we're gonna go down to a chest press, single arm static. So I'm gonna explain it while Carrie does it. I've been really enjoying the single arm or single leg movements.
Being one side?
Yeah, well, so you have 2 dumbbells.
Oh, that's right.
So you're holding one at the hardest position of the movement, which is down at the bottom. You're gonna be up in a bridge, so booty is up. Yep, you're gonna hold one at the hardest part, down at the top. You're gonna give me 5 reps on one side while you're holding that one off the ground. That's gonna, this arm is gonna hurt more. Then you're gonna switch after 5 reps to the other side. So you're engaging both arms, but they're doing different things. So you're manipulating the muscles to really work hard for it. This is gonna be harder than just doing a chest press. So we're gonna work on our single-sided movements.
And these are 25 pounds. So I'm challenging you guys. No 10-pound stuff.
This is our heavy board. So we've done conditioning, smaller muscle groups like the biceps and the triceps, and then on the last board, we're moving on to the big muscle groups, and it should be the hardest to do at the very end, so that's why I saved it for last. So we're gonna do that, and then you do 5 on one side, 5 on the other. You're gonna do the exact same type of thing, this time with rows. So you have 2 dumbbells, you're gonna come down, bring both of them up, then you're gonna do 5 reps on one side, and then 5 reps on the other. So you have both arms are working, they're just doing 2 different things. Make sure you're keeping that static arm at the highest and hardest part of the movement on those rows. On the chest press, it's at the hardest part, which is the lowest part of the movement. So it'll kind of give you a run for your money. They're super fun to do. We hope you enjoy the workout. We'll be back in a second.
All right.
Yeah.